The road to the 2020 Kentucky Derby continues, and this time we go to Gulfstream Park. It's the Fountain of Youth Stakes, $400,000, and we have 12 horses entered, including one of the top 3 favorites for the 2020 Kentucky Derby in Dennis Moment. Let's take a look at this field and how the race may unfold as you start to handicap and get ready for Gulfstream Park's 14-race card on Saturday. Of course, the Fountain of Youth is going to be race number 14, and let's start at the rail with Tycoon. And this horse, I wasn't sure after that impressive maiden victory when he kind of drew off and put it all together the last time. This was a horse who was bet down in his debut race at Saratoga, ended up running third, kind of ran evenly, and that may be one of the keys to how he could possibly do here in the Fountain of Youth, as he kind of was bet down a couple of other times, was 20 cents on the dollar and finished second 2 races back, and then put it together on the stretch out last time, a mile and the 16th. Won by 4 lengths, drew off from a couple of nice horses, especially after pressing the pace. Now the pace was a little bit on the slow side. They opened up a fast quarter, 23-3. Then it slowed down to 48, and then it got real slow in that third quarter, 112-4, and so he was able to kind of sprint home and finish it off with a 93 Brisnet speed figure, which was a new career top for Tycoon. I like the pedigree. I've mentioned before some of those twirling candies. He kind of has a little bit of that J.O. Tobin blood in him, where he produces some horses that are a little bit fiery, but he has gotten some talented horses. And I think Tycoon, because he did show he can kind of run evenly in that debut, if the pace gets hot here, he could come a little bit off the pace. If he attacks and goes to the front and tries to take advantage of that rail post position, I'm not so sure I like him as much in this spot. Maccabim is a long shot, has ran 7 times, won twice, been running in $12,000 claimers. I think they may eventually scratch out of this spot. Master Day is the son of New Year's Day, the winner of last year's Florida Derby. Maximum Security was by New Year's Day. And Master Day, a little bit on the slow side, 78, 82, 86 Brisnet speed figures. He's going to have to improve by probably 7 to 8 points, as I feel a Brisnet speed figure is probably going to end up being about 95 to 98 in a spot like this. The Falcon, a long shot. He's a maiden, ran at Turfway Park in Churchill Downs. He's 50-1 in the morning line. Now we get to the real contenders. Dennis Moment. Tisnow is the sire. A lot of people thinking this horse could have a bigger 3-year-old year. You know, I've been watching the workouts on Dennis Moment. He really doesn't, you know, he still kind of seems like a small horse, doesn't have that imposing physical look like some of the Bob Baffert horses do this spring, and Nadal and Charlatan, and even a horse like some of the other top contenders, even a kind of built more, kind of like a router, but he's kind of doesn't have a big frame, could go either way with this one. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes in off the bench. Hasn't run since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Of course, a lot of people know about that trip. He broke slow out of the gate. You know, I think one of the disappointing things was he never really got into the race, but the track was a little bit quirky that day and slow and demanding, so maybe the jockey Ortiz kind of just wrapped up on him early. Of course, Jose Ortiz broke his, had an injury last week, and he is going to be out, his hand injury. So Flavian Prat going to ride him for the first time, and it'll be interesting to see how Flavian rides, if he tries to go to the lead like he did in his maiden breaker when he won by 19 lengths, or if he lays just a little bit off the pace like he ran at Churchill Downs underneath the Twin Spires. He did come from 4th place that day, drew off from that field, but that was a little bit weaker field. He's facing, I'd say, 3 legitimate contenders here in Tycoon, as seen on TV. Chancet and Ete Indien are the top 5 contenders here. So Dennis the Moment off the layoff. Don't take too short of a price. Definitely one to watch as they warm up and come out onto the track, see what he looks like physically. As seen on TV, big race the last time out. Went nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball against Chancet. He took the worst of it, finished second by a head, but definitely a strong effort. And this guy's got back-to-back triple-digit Brisnet speed figures, a 101 and a 103. I really like his race 2 races back as well, when he kind of drew off on fast fractions. That was Finished it off with a 101 Brisnet speed figure, and even though it was state restricted race, so there was some good Florida breds. Paco Lopez, I think you know what you're going to get here at 9-2 on the morning line. He's going to be up, involved in that pace, and I like the fact that he's on the outside of Dennis Moment. If Dennis Moment elects to rate and goes to that rail and tries to secure that spot, as seen on TV, could come over and easily take the lead on the front end. Country Grammar, a slow race the last time out at Aqueduct. Now the track was a little bit slow that day. The variant was slow. The speed, the pace was slow, so that meant they weren't going to come home fast. So his Brisnet speed figure came back in 94 with the high track variant that day. Son of Tonalist, he should be able to run all day, as they say, out of a forestry mare that had some speed on the mare side. Country Grammar, 15-1 morning line. Javier Castellano rides. Chad Brown trained. Not often you're going to see that at 15-1 with Castellano. $450,000 purchase. He did start his first race on the turf. There's probably a lot of room for improvement here. If you think he'll take to the turf, and the pedigree actually is dirt, so if you can really buy that 94 Brisnet speed figure and just take throw out those fractions in that last race, he's already gone 1 mile and 1/8. Country Grammar, coming from off the pace, could be one to watch here in a spot like the Fountain of Youth. Gear Jockey, he's ran in some big races, ran third in the Bourbon Stakes, third in another stakes in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Now he goes back to the dirt, second straight race. Now, he couldn't make an impact in a maiden race the last time out at 6-1. Another son of Twirling Candy, but George Arnold, kind of a crafty trainer here. Again, this is another horse that probably can come from off the pace, maybe a little bit better than that last race indicates, 20-1 on the morning line. Liam's Lucky Charm shipped into the fairgrounds, did not run a lick the last race after a big victory in the Pasco Stakes. Definitely when he runs his best race, he's won by 6 lengths and 5 lengths. He wants to be on the front end. If he goes, he could set up a hot pace. He's by Kozan, his first crop getting to be 3-year-olds this year. Kozan only ran 3 times, but he did run at Gulfstream Park, so maybe a little bit of a horse for course built in here for Liam's Lucky Charm. Shotsky disappointed as a favorite for some of the bettors. The Son of Blame out of a blue grass cat mare. He can definitely going to, pedigree says he can go 1 mile and a 16th here. And John Velasquez rides him this time out. You know, the track was slow that day. It was a demanding pace, 92 Brisnet speed figure. And Max Plyer came from behind that day. You know, he fits with this group if they only run 95 to 96. If somebody blows it up to 100, I don't think Shotsky kind of fits in that type of mode. And then the 11th horse here, 11th post, is Ete Indien. Big run the last time, lost to Tis the Law, but they were 11 lengths clear of the 3rd place horse. Ete Indien, been working out well in between. I like the fact that they go to those turf dirt workouts, then back to the dirt the last time. Had a blowout on Tuesday, 48 for 4 furlongs. He should be sharp, and he draws to the outside of the other speed. If they can rate just a little bit like he did in his maiden breaker at 5 furlongs, or even in his second race when he ran in the Bourbon Stakes, he could come closing here. Last time he ran on the front end, and he gets a new jockey this time out for Ete Indien. Chance It, they're debating whether they're going to run or not in this race. He drew the 12th post. That's usually not a good post position to be. Post positions 11 and 12 for both Chance It and Ete Indien. He's 7-2 on the morning line, and definitely his last race, he beat, as seen on TV after a dueling stretch duel. Of course, he won by 7 the race before that. He's earned almost $500,000. Disappointed in one race in the Affirmed Stakes. That was a stakes restricted, but that was going from a 6 furlong to a 7 furlong, and then he went to a route. So Chance It, I think they're going to elect to stay in this spot here. There's 3 or 4 horses that are really just filler in this spot, and if he can replicate that last race, he's been working well, a 34-3. He is on the muscle, and a 58 before that. I don't think they really want to wait a week to Tampa Bay. So Chance It, definitely one of your top 3 contenders. Who do you like? Leave a comment who you like in the Fountain of Youth. Do you like Dennis Moment? What about As Seen on TV? And remember, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and share it with all your friends who like horse racing as we lead you up to the 2020 Kentucky Derby. It's the Fountain of Youth. The 2 favorites, Chance It and Dennis Moment. Contenders are Candy Tycoon, As Seen on TV, and possibly Ete Indien. Good luck on the Fountain of Youth.